What's up, guys? Ben here, bringing you another video. My voice is messed up. I've been sick the last couple of days. That's why we haven't uploaded, but I'm feeling a little bit better. The voice might still be funky for a couple more days, so you guys might have to bear with me. I've gotten a lot of requests to do a video about upcoming free agents, but I have a little bit of an issue that I kind of need help with the community on. So let me kind of walk through sort of where I'm at, what I need help with, and we can talk about at least a couple of free agents, I think, and discuss potentially where they will go. So let's dive in. All right, so you probably have seen this sheet before. I did this last offseason and basically broke down all the free agent players, the teams, and kind of the deal situation. The problem I have now is that it is very hard to get information on the current contract status of players. Now, prior to this season, the biggest deal you could sign, at least as far as I knew, was a 1+1. So player would sign a deal, the team would have a option at the end of the first year. They could pick it up, and then you knew that as long as they didn't sign an extension, they were going to hit the market the following season. But the problem now is you could sign like a 1-year deal, a 2-year deal, a 3-year deal, sign a 2-year deal with an option at the end. You could sign a 1-year deal with a 2-year option. You could sign a 1-year deal that's got another option, an option. You see the problem I have. So there's a lot of different shades of a deal. So I'm missing a lot of information to really kind of dive in deep on exactly all of the free agents. So I think for me, there's a couple avenues I think I'm going to try and figure out on how to get this information. All right, the first one is kind of going through the league. So if you go to the website here, this is the main Call of Duty website, and you go to Player Tracker. You've got this Player Tracker situation here. It hasn't been updated since October, which is a problem because there's been people signed since October. So I'm going to talk to the league and see if maybe they go ahead and push an update here, because there's really a lack of publicly available information out here. And this was like fairly regularly updated last year. Again, didn't really exactly say, contract situations and people signed new contracts. You have to kind of guess based on what was here, and it wasn't always correct. I'm going to try and have the league at least push updates to here so that it's like somewhat accurate. Like they've got everything through January, February, and you can see when teams kind of dropped or signed a substitute rights. So like at one point, Sam Phoenix is a substitute for Seattle last year, Theory for Vegas. Like it gave you enough information on kind of how the rosters were completely built. But we don't really have that at the moment. We don't even have like when people signed 14 days, like when Paul signed a 14-day last year. So I'm going to try and talk to the league and see if they can get this updated because it would be very helpful information, not just for me, but for the whole community. I think the next thing I'm going to do is kind of talk to some player agents to sort of get the information from their clients. I'll reach out to a few owners. There is a document I think that goes around. As far as I know, there's a document that usually goes around at some point at the end of the season, kind of giving teams an understanding of who is going to be an upcoming free agent. And I think the express purpose of this memo is to make sure teams don't tamper with players that are still under contract if the season is over, so they can properly have communication when that sort of gap happens, or players no longer contract to roster. So I'm going to try and get her saying that so I can clearly fill this out for you guys. I can kind of give you a heads up on who are free agents and who is not. So let's talk about a couple of players I think that are definitely going to hit the free agent market. So we go team by team. FaZe, I don't have a lot of information on right now, but my guess is they've re-signed. So I haven't confirmed that, but they usually re-sign their players and don't let them hit the market. Minnesota's interesting. We know that there's a bunch of 1+1s here. We know that Fame is extended, but they have a bunch of new players on their roster. So it's possible a bunch of these players hit the market based on how their team does. Now, currently, they're not having the best of time in the CDL. So let's see what happens towards, the end of the season. But at the moment, ROKKR could be an interesting rebuild situation. Decide to blow it up in the offseason. The Boston situation is interesting. As far as I know, Nero and Vivid have had their option extended, but they could have also been given extensions as well. And if Boston has the ability to redo their sub machine gun lineup in the offseason and use it as a pressure tactic to see what else is out there other than Nero and Vivid, that could be interesting. The New York situation, I would think that Kiz is the only person that potentially hits the market. They just signed 4 of the players on this roster, so I think they're all on like 2 or 3 year deals. So I'm gonna get more information on that, but they may only have one player hit the market. Florida and Vegas is interesting because even if these players have signed multi-year deals, they may have a second-year option. The organization may not take that option. Just to also scroll down, like London is a good example of this. This lineup is all players that are probably on new deals, although I'm not really sure what the deal with Nasty is. And London's in a situation where they sign people to like a big second year and don't ever pick it up. So for these sort of other teams, like your London, your Floridas, your Vegas, like they may just squad wipe their team and then sign players back as they want and kind of do this 1 year plus thing. Although again, with Temp and Clay, I actually don't know, because those are players that you probably really can't pull that maneuver with them. We get to sort of the 4 teams I think that are probably the most interesting in terms of potential like issues with free agents. So LAG, we know that a bunch of these players get signed to 3-year deals. Don't know if they have options. Don't know if they're flat 3-year deals. Gonna get more information on that, but also the org situation makes this whole thing super interesting, and the futures of all these players kind of up in the air. And we also get to the Seattle Surge situation. So this is the one that everybody keeps talking about in regards to these 2 players, Pred and Sib. A lot of OpTic fans pretty much have them earmarked for their team right now. I would say that I won't be surprised if Pred ends up on OpTic. Dante's a little bit trickier, because especially if Dashy and Dangosti work, especially as an AR duo, if they play well this season, I don't really see a spot for Dante unless they move Dan or Bruce to like another SMG role on the team, which I don't really see. So the other kind of flip side in Seattle is they could also go to Pred and kind of give him the keys this offseason, pay him a crazy contract and have him recruit players. So this probably is the most, these 2 free agents are probably the ones that I think people attract the most in this upcoming market. And, a team like, for example, LA Thieves, that may potentially rebuild in the offseason could also get in the mix for 1 or 2 of these players. Also say like a Toronto Ultra, who have a bunch of players that may hit the market. They'll probably move on from Eli. I would assume that Jamie and Toby are probably going to get re-signed. Toronto, if they value the players, do end up signing them to new deals. Scrapp's probably going nowhere. I'm not sure to deal with Hicksy if he's off free agent or not. But my point to you is this is like, I think a bunch of teams will be after Pred. I think OpTic's probably the front runner. Dante probably have a bunch of options. There also the option where these 2 stick. And I've just outlined a bunch of free agents that might hit the market. They can also recruit a bunch of players to the team and kind of rebuild. So be on the lookout for that situation. We talked about these. We talked about OpTic. I think really the end of year performance for these teams will dictate who stays and who goes, but it could get kind of funky if both teams underperform at champs. And then Toronto, like I said, I expect them to probably keep this team together in terms of the current pace, like especially unless they don't get like, if they get like top 8 or something and they want to make a change or some internal issues again, I could see it. But Toronto's always kind of been very conservative with their roster building in terms of making changes to the starting lineup. I could see them, being aggressive and picking up a sub and sort of figuring out more further development of people to bring in the lineup. But I really don't think there's much in the way that you can do in sort of changing this lineup up to make them better. I think they're playing really good right now, so I could see them sort of re-signing everyone. And yeah, that's sort of the outline right now. I think the next thing for me is sort of getting this information filled out. So I'm going to work on that over the next week or 2 and then make another video once I've like properly filled this out. I'll also put a link to this sheet in the description of this video so you can see it, and we'll keep you guys posted as I get more information as we get towards the end of the season. So yeah, I don't think there's a lot really new in this video, so apologies there. Again, I just need to get more information from the teams on really contract status of people and player agents, so it's just a lot of work on my end to sort of figure that out. So I'm going to try and do that for y'all. Let me know in the comments though if you guys have other information that will help me fill out the sheet. As always, guys, like if you enjoyed the video, subscribe for more. Me doing some mid-season team review videos I think this week, so we'll dive into that before matches start in a week or so. So we'll see you guys then, and see you guys on the next video.